Today's podcast is about my new book coming out, Human Connection, Respect, and Passion. Stay tuned.
Introverted Intellect, helping you overcome shyness, social anxiety, depression, and utilizing the power of being an introvert.
Welcome to
Introverted Intellect,
a podcast for introverts.
What's going on, guys? Johnny Raxa here, back again with the Introverted Intellect. First off, I want to just begin by saying, what is this podcast about? I know in the intro it talks about like how do we overcome depression, how do we come over anxiety, how do we overcome, the fact that we're introverts and we can be a lot more open about who we are as introverts in an extroverted world. I know I said all that, but the thing is about it all, guys, is that I'm coming from a perspective from a very insecure, awkward introvert, Asian introvert. And I think that there's a lot to say as somebody who is an introvert because we're so introspective, right? Being an Asian, I think, is a big part of this podcast for me in particular because, well, first off, being Asian in this world, especially in the U.S., has a lot of meanings towards it. It's a lot of expectations in a way. You got to be that model minority. You got to have these expectations. I think everybody has a certain level of expectations of who they're supposed to be because of society standards, right? And I'm coming at it in an Asian perspective. I know people out there who are women and they're introverts. They might want to find somebody who is an introvert who's a woman that they might be able to relate to, I'm not trying to speak to everybody. I'm just trying to speak to the masses of whoever wants to listen and whoever wants to hear from me being an Asian introvert. Susan Cain, who wrote Quiet, is a great example of an introvert who's a lady that you guys could go and see what she's all about. But without further ado, I just want to say once again, I think what am I saying? Okay. New book coming out, guys. The new book, it is about connection. The reason why I wrote about connection is mainly because I feel like people have lost the art of connecting. What I mean by that is they lost the art of trying to, because I think as introverts, we often think, talking, that means we have to small talk. That means we have to talk about the weather and talk about sports. But really, grand scheme of things, the ultimate goal for every introvert is to utilize their introvertedness to connect with people. One of the presidents, I totally forgot who was a president who got he became president. What am I saying? He became president because by not necessarily using his what is it called? His social, what's the word? Like he wasn't using his social strength, let's say that. He's using his introverted strength. He literally, before an election thing or something like that, like a re-election, revote with all these people in a room, he went around, him and his folks, walked around and talked to every individual person, like as much as they can. They strategically went like to certain parts of the room where he could talk to one person at a time, and he got the vote and became president. I gotta go back and figure out who this was. I totally forgot. I read it somewhere in a book, and he became president because he connected one-on-one with people. And I think that's what people lost the art of doing, especially introverts, because all they want to do is either they just want to be alone, being by themselves. And I think introverts have this huge, enormous power to connect with people. They just oftentimes don't realize it, and they never utilize it. So please, introverts, I beg you, please go out there and learn to connect, because when you keep thinking that you got to be alone all the time, you can just get depressed, you're going to get sad, you're going to get lonely. You don't want to fall in that trap. And that's part of the reason why I say overcoming depression and anxiety. It's because you guys aren't going out there. You guys think it's like some kind of huge deal. You guys think it's some kind of it's not. You really got to figure. You got to look at it this way. Like, that is your superpower as introverts. You can connect on a deeper level with people much quicker and much more comfortably than an extrovert per se. I mean, I can't, I'm not singling out extroverts here and saying, oh, they can't connect. Of course they can connect. But I think introverts have a lot easier time connecting one-on-one than an extrovert. Because extroverts, they want to engage with people in a different kind of way. And introverts kind of engage in a more one-on-one, listening and just like really diving deep, right? We love those deep conversations. I usually, on my car ride to my hometown this past weekend, I loved my deep conversations, and so did my brother. And we talked about how having those deep conversations as introverts really ignited us. They put a fire in us, We hated the small talk. We hated the people who just couldn't seem to connect very well. Well, we didn't hate that, but the people who we didn't have a good taste. Like at the end of a conversation, you usually feel a certain taste not in your mouth. What am I saying? You get a certain feeling about somebody after you have a conversation with somebody. And when you feel like you didn't connect and you feel like all you did was just talk about aimless stuff, I mean, there's good stuff about that. I'm so sorry, guys, about my coughing. There's good stuff about, having to connect in that way, in like small talk and whatnot. But eventually it should lead up to having a stronger connection through a deeper conversation, I feel. Anyways, I'm ranting. That's nothing to do with this podcast today, or kind of, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm kind of digressing from my schedule, my agenda here. But yes, welcome back, you guys, from Thanksgiving. For the folks in U.S. and whatever other countries that celebrate Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving because it helps remind me to be thankful. I mean, you guys heard the last podcast, right? Jeez. So sorry, guys. I was in Eureka, hometown, Eureka, California. And Eureka is, if you guys don't know, it's this small little town about a population of, I think it's reaching close to 1 million now because people are moving over there. I have no idea why. There's not many jobs, but maybe it's not 1 million. Why am I saying 1 million? 1 million? That's a lot. It's like 100,000, give or take, maybe more. No, okay. You know what? Scratch all I said. It's definitely not 1 million. Oh my goodness, 1 million people? Maybe not even 1 million in that county. Anyways, Eureka is a small little town on the coast in California that not many people know about. When you think of California, when you hear about California, you think, oh, San Francisco, oh, LA, oh, Hollywood. You got movies, you got culture, you got protests, you got liberalism, whatever there is out there, right? It's funny because Eureka is out there in the middle of nowhere, basically about an hour and a half away from the border of Oregon, if you guys know the U.S. states. For those who don't know, who are in different other parts of the country, in parts of the world, it's a small town. I came from a small town, and mind you that it did shape a lot about who I am. Because Eureka, for me, it is shaped in a sense that I see the world in a different scale. I feel that the people who lived in bigger cities see the world differently than the way I would see it because I am from a smaller town. I think that also contributes to my confidence and whatnot. Maybe we'll get into that later. But anyways, it was fun. I had a nice drive over there with my rental car and my brother and then drove back safely and soundly. But I wanted to say something. Before I get into that, I want to say this. I had a good time. My highlight was this. My highlight was two things. One, it was writing papers or not editing essays. Out of all things I love doing, I love to edit essays. For this, there's one. My girlfriend's cousin is trying to get into a school, UC Davis. Actually, if you guys have never heard of Davis, is about 2 hours away from me here. And she was trying to become a medical student there, and I was like I would play video games, guys. I would play video games for like 10 minutes and be like, you know what, that essay needs to be written. I would shut off the video games because I was suddenly like almost, my mind goes in this mode like I gotta be productive, and I gotta feel like I accomplished something. So I went and did that essay and edited it. And I loved it. It was awesome. It was great. In the morning I would edit. I'd drink some coffee, edit the paper. I'm like, wow, this is so fun. I love writing. Yeah, anyways, I really enjoyed it. That and 2 is the biggest thing ever. You guys, this past Thanksgiving was monumental. It was the first annual Thanksgiving turkey games. Amazing time. Awkward to begin. I was anxious. I drank some wine before. I was scared. But hey, I was like, all right, guys. Because my family is boring as hell. But I went up in the living room and I was like, all right, guys. It was awkward when everyone came in because they looked like I was about to do something. And sure enough, I was. So I went up and I was like, all right, guys. All right. So I made a few games and it's like 1-2-minute games. And we're going to have points. We're going to break up into teams and we're going to figure out how to play. And it was like, at first, it was so awkward. I was like, shoot. Like, is this going to even work? Is this going to work? Like this, I was thinking in my head, like, God, I'm shaking kind of, and I'm scared. It wasn't the scariest thing I've done, but it was definitely scary time. And so I started off. I prepared the music. I prepared the games. It was all there. And we played, and we had an amazing time. Better than what I expected for the most part. Not so, I expected differently in my head. I expected it to be super epic. But at the end of it, my cousin goes, oh, I really like this. I want to try it for the next time we do this. I want to think of other games and try it out for the next time. And I was like, are you serious? This is amazing. Holy crap. Like, I never thought that in my life I would get to that point where we can actually do something fun as a family. Mind you, the older folks are in the other room, but like being there and just hosting these games like a normal family would. Most families I think would do this, but most of the time they're out watching football. But us, we're connecting, we're having fun together, we're laughing, and it was great. It was like what? Like, this is what we should be doing for Thanksgiving. Connect, like having fun with family. That's really it. It was great. My aunt was like, where did you figure this stuff out? Where did you like learn all this stuff? And I'm like thinking, huh. You know what? I realized, and inside I realized I did a lot of this actually for the kids. And it prepared me in a way, but I haven't done it for a while. I did a lot of this for kids back in the day when I worked with the kids. And the fact that I go to Toastmasters, which is like practicing public speaking, it just overall helped me prepare for that point, because like I always wanted to do it. I always wanted to start games up, but I never had like the courage to just speak up. But I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I don't care what they think. I'm gonna force it down their throats because I'm tired of not doing anything. I'm tired of just like lounging around and just awkwardly walking around the house trying to figure out what to do. Oops. And we had fun, and now we're gonna make it a tradition. It's great. I hope we do make it a tradition. But the fact that we're exposed to it, bam, boom, bop, bam. All right. So I encourage you guys actually to maybe not just play games, but more so like find the opportunity. If you find something that just needs to be fixed, like you gotta, like there's something that's urging you just to try something, just do it. If I didn't do that, I would regret it right now. This would be a different podcast. I'd be like, I gave into my fears, guys. I gave into my fears. I lost the courage, and now I'm regretting the fact that I could have done something to set the tone for the rest of the Thanksgivings and Christmases that I have with my family. But here I am now telling you a victory that I had because I didn't give in to my fear, and now we have something fun to do. It's great. Anyways, maybe you guys aren't as excited about it as I am, but nonetheless, it was great. Okay, next up, I want to talk about this. For two things, actually. I've been noticing this for the past several years, or a couple years actually, maybe just one or two. a particular family member of mine oftentimes would disrespect his dad. I'm not gonna say who this is because maybe they'll be listening, and I don't want to throw them out. Throw them under the bus, so to speak. It's a saying. I just wanted to say that I talked about this. Muhammad actually talked about this with me about wanting to respect parents, and that's the beauty I see with Asian families and overall is that we have a huge level of respect for our moms and dads, where we don't talk to them as if they're our friends. Now, I do not agree. I wholeheartedly do not agree that a father-son or child to parent relationship should entail a kind of a friendship, buddy, to the point when you're like cussing at your dad, you're like putting him down. I feel like, yes, okay, so to a certain extent, I do think that it's good for a parent to have that comfort with their children, to where the maybe, for instance, for a son and dad to be buddy, so that the son can open up more to the dad about certain issues in his life, right? I think that there is a certain level where you indeed could do that, but there's a line, right? There's a line where you don't have the child disrespect the dad or the mom after all the mother and father has done to the life of that child. It's like it almost hurts in a way. You should have parents should have respect, folks. Like you shouldn't be cussing out your dad or putting him down about something. Like, I think there should be something more than more than meets. I mean, like I said, I'm not a parent, all right? I don't have kids, so I don't know how difficult it is. I can't say how difficult it is, but I do know this, is that parents should definitely be respected. They should be respected to that extent where they don't need to be put down by their own child. Like, why would you? I always am thankful for what my parents done for me, because they work so incredibly hard, and to say to them something derogatory about like something that they do is like a slap in the face to them. I just don't like that. Anyways, that is a rant, and I feel like people, especially younger folks, they gotta realize this. Like, yo, your parents did so much for you. Like, they're paying for your tuition, they're doing this and that. Like, the least you can do is like be thankful and help them out with certain things here and there, right? This particular family member, he just didn't have that respect, and it just hurt me to see it, right? And my own, I say it, another family member of mine, same deal. Like, he just doesn't respect his dad, his stepdad. I don't know, his dad, and that hurts me too, because it's like he loves him, and his stepdad loves him. I mean, his dad loves him, but there's still that disrespect. There's a lot of disrespect going on, and it shouldn't be there. If you guys have more onto this and you guys want to add on, please just email me, mrjohnnyraxa@gmail.com. That's MrJonnyB. Sorry, Mr. MrJonnyRaxa@gmail.com. Email me. Tell me what you think. To what extent how should these family dynamics work out, right? Like, for instance, I will tell my mom and ask her for advice. I will be vulnerable with her from time to time, and I will listen to her and respect her, and I will never say something bad about her. I might call her out on some things here and there, just subtly, but not like outright, because to have a child try to lecture the parents, that's just the worst thing. Like, you don't do that. You don't lecture your parents, but you do show your parents, right? You show them the values, you show them what you're doing on the side, and that will be so much more influential to them than you just telling them. This brings me to my next story. But first I want to say a story about something else, where about the parents issue, where when you're so passionate about, for instance, I'm not Christian anymore, but I was part of a church, and I'm no longer part of the church. But one thing that helped my a lot of people became Christian in time, and the parents hated the fact that they were Christian. So they're like, why are you Christian, blah blah blah, right? And I'm going to disown you. Eventually the parents came around because they saw the life that the child had lived, the actions that he or she took, and the changes in his life that he or she made, that influenced the parents to accept the child and their faith in the Christian faith. But that brings me to my next story, or I mean, the main point of that, what I was trying to just now and say was, your actions speak louder than words. Okay, so that brings me to my next actually story here. I'm going to pull it up. This is first time. No, this is not the first time I've done this, but it is different than what I normally would do. This is a story of something I kept hearing throughout the week. Actually, it's constantly on every podcast I've been listening to, and it's a story about a missionary. Okay, basically it's a story about a man who decided to go to an island that was known for killing outsiders. And a lot of these, I think a lot of the people kept saying how dumb he was to do this. I don't think anybody understood. I don't think anybody understands, like, there's more people out there like him that will go out as missionaries and just like, for instance, I think Jimmy Elliot, I think he was a martyr for the Christian faith. Like, he actually went out to a land known for its like violence and converted a lot of people to Christianity. Mind you, you guys, this isn't about Christianity at all. My point about all this is that I don't understand why people freak out over somebody who feels the conviction and passion to do something that they were called to do. Like, why do people freak out so much about something? Like, that's the thing. People are afraid of like crazy passion, like crazy conviction, crazy passion. It's a threat to them because it's not normal, right? But people do it all the time. People go out to schools. They do like stuff like me, where they do podcasts. People give up their jobs to do their passion. People commit like financial suicide so that they can go out and have a less like a job that is not as good, so that they could go do what they love. Like, people do this all the time. People will risk their lives to do something, oftentimes, or risk their finances, their lives, their relationships. People make sacrifices. All this guy was doing was he was taking a risk. He was taking a chance. He was taking a risk to go out there and preach his Christian faith to these folks, and knowing full well that he could have died, and he did. But that doesn't make him stupid. That just makes him like, it just shows how committed and passionate he is, and unafraid and courageous. He's taking that chance. He's trying again, even though there's been countless times people have died. And he made some what is it? He went to the black market. And found these Indian guys, fishermen, I believe, Indian fishermen, I think, and got them to go and take him to the island. But then you go into the fact that they were shooting arrows at him, and he kept walking, and the journals that he had, and it's sad. I mean, it's sad, right? And I think we're not getting into religion, as I said, not getting into religion, but the fact that he went out there with this kind of courageousness is something that I think it's a lost art in doing. People back then, I feel, especially back then, because they weren't bombarded with distractions. People back then were more passionate about something. They're more convicted. That's what I feel, because you find more passionate men and women back in the day, especially during the wars and stuff and all that. I don't know. I think over time, when society was not as focused on its monetary value, but more so like the inner value, the connection with people, the desire, there was just more passion back in the day. That's what I felt. There's a lot of heroes back in the day, because of, not to say that there's heroes now. Like, I mean, this guy would be considered a hero to the Christian faith, but I've just heard countless stories of people who set the foundations of heroism throughout the life of our lives. Martin Luther King Jr., you got Oprah, you got Gandhi, you got like people who went out to war, World War One and Two, and people who really want to fight and die for the country. Sure, the values have changed, the circumstances have changed, the environment has changed, sure, but I think we've had that lost art of really having the passion. We just want to follow what's going to make us famous, what's going to make us more money. And we've lost the art of finding that true value in people and in ourselves, and being able to take that step forward and get out of our comfort zone and say, hey, let's be selfless and sacrifice for others rather than trying to focus on ourselves. And that's really all I have for you guys today. I know it's a little bit, I'm ending on a really sentimental and kind of a sad note in a way, but at the same time, I implore you guys as introverts, right, going back to my book and going back to the reality of connection. Yes, we do have video games. Yes, we do have social media and all that. We're so distracted by all of it. Yes, maybe somebody like Gary Vee might say, what are you talking about? Like, he'll probably just not agree with me in some points in this case. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if he will or will not. From what I've been hearing about him, he loves social media, right? And that is a way for people to connect in a way. But I beg to differ that there is a beauty in human interaction and connection, one-on-one, in person. Look into somebody's eyes and say, talk about deep things that will motivate, that will convict, and that will get the connection flowing, and that will make you a lot more happy. All right. But by all means, use social media, use technology, take advantage of it for sure. Like, I wouldn't be doing this podcast if it wasn't for social media. It'd be ironic for me to say, don't do social media when I'm using social media all the time. What I'm saying is, take advantage of the relationships you have now and make the personal connections with other people, and then you'll be a lot happier in life. I promise you that. The people who oftentimes feel sad is because they feel like they don't have anybody, and I didn't. I felt that. I really did, until I realized there was a lot of people that I had, that were willing to let go of themselves and talk to me and whatnot. So please do that. Once again, Johnny Raksa, Introvert Intellect. And please, guys, please, if you guys are listening this to the very end, I ask you, please leave a review. Please leave a review, good or bad, whatever, I don't care. Reach out to me. Please talk to me. I'm really open to talking, communicating. I already have people who are constantly listening. For instance, Sarah, she's an awesome contributor to the podcast. You know who you are, Sarah, if you are listening. Thank you very much. And Mohammed, thank you so much as well. I know you're listening. You two have been very detrimental and keeping me really motivated. There's also other folks out there too, for sure, who reach out to me on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm always shouting out Sarah and Mohammed because they consistently come back to me to talk to me, and I really enjoy that. And they're not afraid to be like, oh, if he doesn't talk to me, it's they're willing to go out of their way to say a lot more than expected. So I'm really thankful for that. And like I said, once again, email me, please. And new book coming out soon. I will let you guys know. Once again, this is Johnny Raxa with the why do I always forget the name? I'm doing this for months. Introverted Intellect. Peace.
We are what you make it.